In the world today, the gender question is more prevalent than before. Gender has become a more cogent construct as society is filled with people who have arguments on how they want to be identified and how they themselves identify. Pronouns have become more important than even when we were taught in elementary school. Are you a he? Are you a she? Are you a him? Or a they? But aside from identity, there's a question of responsibility, privileges that comes with gender. The Nigerian recent gender equity bill was rejected on the Senate on social, cultural, and religious grounds. That tells you the story in a nutshell. 49% of Nigerian population are women. That is almost half of the population. But it is incredulous that just 4% of our elected office holders, especially in the national legislature, are women. We have more than half of Nigerian population estimated to be living in extreme poverty, and 70% of people living in extreme poverty are women. We have 10 million out-of-school children in Nigeria, and 60% of this number are girls who are not given the opportunity to go to school due to social norms, early marriages, early pregnancies, and other forms of discrimination. Also, as of 2020, we have it recorded that about 20 million Nigerians are living with some form of disability or the other. Only 5 million of this number are acute disabilities that affect function, but are disabilities nonetheless. Women are half of our population, and the people with disability are a large number that cannot be ignored. So today on The Reawakening, we're discussing gender inclusion and inclusion of people with disabilities. And I have two guests here with me to discuss this very important topic who fall directly into this demographic. I have with me Barrister Juliet Isi Ikayere.
Thank you very much.
And I have Pelemo Nyajo.
Thank you.
So these two ladies are going to be conversing based on their personal experiences on how can women, in spite of all these not so easy statistics, get involved in nation building. So welcome to The Awakening. So I'll give you guys an opportunity to just introduce yourselves and tell us what you do and how you are able to give back to the nation in terms of building. I'll start with you, Barrister Juliet.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am a legal practitioner, a linguist, and also a farmer. I am also a politician.
All right, good to have you with us. Pelemo.
I am Pelemo Nyajo. I am a 19-year-old youth activist. And apart from that, I was recently appointed as a member of the Youth Advisory Committee of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands. And I also use my art, spoken word specifically, to advocate for disability inclusion and mental health awareness. And I am an ardent serial volunteer.
Thank you. You can agree with me that our guests are the right people to be discussing on this very important subject matter. So I'll start with you this time, Ms. Nyajo. So you're so passionate about volunteering to build the nation, to give back. What inspired this passion in you?
First of all, I would say I was locked up for several years in my home, and I always talked about building the Nigeria I wanted to see. But I was always mocked for it, and most Nigerians always wanted to leave Nigeria, and I couldn't really understand why Nigerians would want to leave Nigeria, because this is home, and no matter where you go, you'd have to come back eventually at the end of the day. So I would say it's the lack of representation that actually moved me to do something about it. And apart from that, I would say that there is definitely a need to represent, and each time I'm given the opportunity to stand on a stage or to represent somewhere, I realize that people like me are also inspired to do the same. So for me, that's the major driving factor, to represent the young people that are underrepresented.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you, Barrister Juliet, you took it a step further. From representation, you actively go into active politics and you're running for office. In spite of all these statistics that I reeled out that, quite frankly, are not very encouraging, what still gave you the drive to run for office?
For me, I always look back at a lot of people that have paid the dues for what we are enjoying today. And I felt that continuity is very important in understanding nation building and development. If certain people have actually laid the foundation for freedom, actualization of dreams, free education, and paid their dues in the past, so why then do we put a stop to it? I am I'm fortunate to be educated, to have the ability to do a lot for myself. So I think that confidence actually enabled me to give more to my society. Because even if tomorrow we make the society better, we do not stop there, because other people can come and tarnish what we've started. People have actually given a lot of their put a lot of their hard work and commitment to. So it needs to continue. I think I come from a place of advantage to give back to the society, and they can see reasons why there is ability in advantage.
Nice, awesome. I like how you mentioned education, because my next question is on that. And I'm happy, furthermore, you're still actively, we're all learning always in life, but you're still in the education system as we speak. So do you feel like, as currently constructed, the education system in Nigeria does enough to prepare young women to not take the back seat, to be leaders, to be at the forefront? Like, your passion is mostly self-instilled, but do you think the education system in the nation does enough to instill this in our young people?
Well, I would say a firm no. The education system is archaic, and it only encourages, what would I use? It only encourages validation. We only get, most young people go to school because they want to be validated by a certificate. Or when I come out, what can I present? This is my value. My value is what I have learned in school. But what are the schools actually teaching? The curriculum is outdated. And apart from the curriculum being outdated, there are a lot of other issues with the current education system in Nigeria, like lack of accessibility, which is a huge problem for me and has been and is still a huge problem for me up to date, because I've not been able to go to the university yet because of the problem of accessibility. And still, there's still a problem with the mindset of people. Even when young people graduate from university, specifically women, there's still a huge problem with putting them in specific places of power, because they feel like women can't handle it because we are women. So I think there's a lot of mental revolution to be done in the educational system, and education goes beyond the four walls of a classroom. And there is so much more that we need to sensitize people on when it comes to educating women on their rights and on their strengths.
Thank you for that. I like how you mentioned that even after school, women are given like certain positions and excluded from others. Because my next question for Juliet is in that line. Now, you're in the political sphere, actively in the political system, and there's this trend I usually notice, that we have women caucuses created in political parties. We have youth caucuses created in political parties. We don't have men caucuses. If you're a man and you join a political party, you're just a man. But if you're a woman, you have to have a woman leader and be playing women politics. Or as a youth, you play youth politics. And this puts a bottleneck on how effective women and young people can be, especially at the age when they are most productive and when they are brighter. So what can you say about that?
Thank you. I'll come from this angle by saying the inclusion of women to a certain percentage, it's wrong and shouldn't be given. They shouldn't be given accolades for such. I feel it should be an equal opportunity for both male and female. So we won't have women caucuses, and then men having to lead, and then women have to be given an opportunity. I think it should be a level playing ground for all gender, and also inclusion of youths and also the elders, because the elders actually give more experiences or pave the way for those coming in on board to actually understand how things are done. And therefore, there is going to be a bridge building between the older ones and the younger ones. And then for the male and female, each have their capacity, their roles to play. So why sectionalize on the other and then leave the men at the helms of power? I think we should do away with this 35% inclusion. It should be more of male-female participation in politics, and not giving us should I say, a pitiful role by saying we're trying to include you. We want to just do this for you. I think such ideology should be terminated with, and everybody should be more awakened to the fact that we should have equal representation in political affairs.
Okay, I'm just going to piggyback on that and ask my next question, because the gender equity bill was rejected mainly on the grounds of religion and cultural constructs, right? Like some religions, the women cannot be equal, because the honorable senator who opposed the bill vehemently said that he had a problem with the word equal. Like if it was equity, he would not he would be more amenable to the bill. But the word equal was directly against his religious views and his cultural views. So what do you say to that?
He's entitled to his opinion, but I'll come from my own angle. We can't continue to say religion has a role to play. Cultural how would I now norms have their role to play in society. But the thing is, where we have seen that some certain things have become disadvantage to the people, it's time to go to the drawing board and then readjust our mindset or our opinion. For instance, we've seen that the disadvantage women have faced have resulted to societal decadence. The young ones are trying. I think they are trying to get ideas from people outside because some of their parents may not have given them enough orientation that should have built them up. So now they end up being disadvantaged to some extent. I don't want to say in what areas, but when a woman is built, like they say, a generation is actually built too. So when you empower a woman, you're empowering a generation. So we've seen that when you leave a woman feeling so less of herself, she doesn't feel she's capable of doing some certain things or contributing to even the nation, it tells even to ourselves. You see our healthcare system, a lot of women today are complaining because they've not been given enough opportunity to tell the world those things that needs to be addressed in our healthcare systems and even the society at large. Women have a role to play. Even in mediation, we see the issue of insecurity happening in the country. Women we know are actually good at mediating. Imagine you give a woman that role to actually mediate on certain issues relating to insecurities and matters that concerns the people. They can be able to play their roles, and their wisdom too can actually be appreciated. So I think that's the time of giving religion and cultural norms a lot of reasons for putting women down. It should be forgotten, and then we should actually appreciate the things that are the disadvantage we are facing for not including women. Yes.
So you're saying that the price for not including them
is more than right now.
Whatever religious constraints we face for including.
Exactly.
Okay, now back to you, Pelemo. On the young people, right? What if the older generation say, these young people, you guys are dyeing your hair, you're piercing your skin, you're putting tattoos, you've made cybercrime almost become the way of life. You celebrate and tend to venerate celebrities who have dubious lifestyle, and it becomes chic or it becomes popular to be bad.
First of all, I want to say that whenever young people are always looking for platforms to express themselves. So when you give them that platform, they don't really go out to do bad things. So if, for instance, the country was very, very, very active on youth participation and, created spaces for youth to actually really express themselves, I don't think a lot of youths would want to go the wrong route. And apart from that, on youth profiling, well, I don't see anything wrong with dyeing my hair, putting earring. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I would say again that is just social and cultural biases and Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians are just so backward that they can't see beyond these things. A lot of developed nations have moved forward because they don't look at things that are so infinitesimal, things that are so miniature, like dyeing your hair. What does it have to do with anything? I know a lot of my friends who are qualified for jobs who don't get the jobs simply because they look a certain way. And this also indirectly relates to disability inclusion. People with disabilities are excluded because we are seen a certain way. There are stereotypes. You can't do a certain thing because of how you look. Can we see beyond a person's physical appearance and look at their soul and look deep into their intellect and what they have to offer? Can we judge them based on their value and not based on their appearance alone?
Nice, good point. Do you have anything to add to that, Julia?
Yes, I do. Irrespective of the fact that we don't want to judge a person by how the person look, I feel we as youth, we shouldn't give the elders more reasons to believe that we should be addressed the way we look. For instance, a person dyes his or her hair, wears nose ring, leg chain, and there are certain functions that such kind of outfit won't be appropriate, I don't think we should actually allow them. For instance, now in politics, you're doing grassroots politics, and I go with my nose ring and go with leg chain, and I show up boobs and all. You're distracting people from the focus. The focus is right now to actually build the nation, not to actually build the fashion. You're going to the grassroots, you see women, you see children, they don't have food. How does your leg chain affect them? Why don't you dress in the modest way for you to be actually able to gain their attention, than actually distract them from the thing? Dress, because there's a way you would dress, you just lose, the focus is changed. You are actually going there to actually how do I communicate with the people, not just in speech, in your language of approach, your dressing, your mannerism. You don't go with sagging jeans and expect to talk to an elder on why the people should be led this way, why NGOs should come and reawaken them to understand that they had to do things in a certain way. You can't do that.
Awesome. Good point. Okay, next I'd like to talk about how we as youths can begin to give ourselves these opportunities, right? Before we talk about this bigger society, the elders, the older generations giving us opportunities, we have young people who are business owners. We have young people who are running for office. We have young people who are doing well in different areas of enterprise.
Well, I would say from my perspective, I've seen a lot of young people recently have started going out and doing things, and it's a ripple effect. When one young person is given the platform or is able to create a platform, other young people see and kind of emulate it and follow if they have the means to do so, which is kind of what gave me the space to do so. I'm part of a youth foundation called Street Project Foundation, where they recruit young people and we do advocacy through art. So I feel like young people are taking strides, but sometimes I feel like there are some societal constraints and cultural biases that still hinge us. But then at the same time, I feel like young people are already making strides. And if we continue to strive towards these things, just like, let's say, for instance, the NSAS protest, how everyone was able to unite, I feel like young people are ready to work. Well, I can't speak for all young people, right? But then a lot of young people I know personally are willing to work. So there are those people, there are young people that are willing to work, right? So if everybody is able to come out of their shell and speak up and use their voice and use their talent and their power, other young people could be carried along. And it's also a matter of inclusion as well, because when you're doing these things, also try to bring and carry along the people like you, which is what I try to do with people with disabilities. I always try to join those platforms or get my friends with disabilities onto the things I'm doing so that there's more inclusion and, like I said, a ripple effect.
Next is the issue of political literacy and apathy, right? Because many people feel there's no need to get involved. There's no need to be deliberate. I can just be a lawyer, I can just be a doctor and just stay in my lane as a lawyer and just do my things. I don't care who wins, who doesn't win. But we can't really afford such lukewarm attitude, especially in a society like Nigeria, where governance directly or indirectly affects every aspect of our lives.
Well, we're running on a democratic system of government. At least that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? Yes. So it's basically government for the people, of the people, and by the people. So definitely the people are involved, the people are the government, right? Mm-hmm. But I think what happens a lot of times with young people especially is we kind of exclude ourselves and we're like, let the politicians and the government do what the government is doing. Let me do what I'm doing. Let me make money. But then we forget that what we do directly or indirectly affects the country, whatever we're doing. So if we're working and we're entrepreneurs, it's helping the economy, right? And the social things we do, if we're committing crimes or vices, it affects the country as well. So I feel like if you don't want to be included, well, you're automatically included by being a part of the country. So everybody is a part of politics. I just feel like we need to change our mindset towards politics. I feel like a lot of young people have been excluded indirectly. So they just feel like it's not something for them. But if we begin to reshape how we see politics and how we see the government and how we see democracy, and there's more political literacy and you're able to understand what it really is, then you'd have more passion to take more action on it through the little things you do, through your work. And this goes back to using your voice, giving yourself a platform, coming out of your shell every time you have the opportunity to do so. Because when you're doing so, you're representing a group of people, and those group of people are learning from you, and somehow it's a ripple effect and the society is growing as a whole. So you can contribute in your little quota.
Okay, now to somebody listening now who is living with a disability, right? They're blind, they're deaf, they can't really walk. They're like, okay, yeah, you're speaking so well, but that's because you have your two eyes. That's because you can hear. But how about me? I'm a Nigerian. I do want to be involved, but how can I, right? So how do you think we could redress the apathy in the side of people living with disability?
Okay. So first of all, I would say that inclusion is only here. The term inclusion is only here because there was an exclusion in the first place. Because we wouldn't need to say include men. We wouldn't really need to say that like, oh, come and include men, please, you know. But it's there because there has been an exclusion. So that's why there's the term inclusion. But I think, like I always talk about the mind and revolutionizing the mind and helping people to understand that simply because you look like you have a certain way of dressing or you have a certain challenge with your legs, like it doesn't mean that you can't do a specific thing. And I feel like people with disabilities, because of everything that's going on in society, they have also kind of brought themselves down because of that. But you need to see yourself as more and break out of that box. And another thing I want to say is that I keep using this analogy a lot, and I say that snow in Canada, I don't really think about how I wake up and shovel snow. Snow in Canada is not really affecting me, so I'm not really thinking of it so much. That's the same thing with able-bodied people, I realized. They are not really always thinking about inclusion, because you wake up, you take your bath normally. For me, to go to the bathroom sometimes is a whole hassle, and nobody really understands that. You're the one who knows where is paining you in your leg. You're the one who knows where the pain is. So you need to speak for people to understand, because sometimes it's not, we like painting able-bodied people as bad people, but it's not like people that can do things with people that have, let's say, all the body parts are bad people. They are not bad people. They are not all of them are against you, but they don't really know. So you need to speak. You need to go out. If more people with disabilities come out, I feel like there will be more of a need. Okay, people will start to think of it more. How do we do it? So I feel like we need to use our own voices. The power is in our own hands, and we need to know our rights. We need to read things like the Disability Act. We need to know our rights. We need to be educated. We need to know. So don't look down on yourself at all. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a unique ability, actually. So it truly is. So yeah, it depends on your mind.
It's a unique ability, not a disability. I'll take that one home with me. Okay, so Barrister Juliet, one more for you. There's some people that have the school of thought that how youths can break the current political mode would be by getting actively involved in political parties, registering as members, not just PVC and waiting for election, where mostly you're given a choice between the devil and the deep blue sea, right? Get involved actively in the political parties, get through the nomination processes, be involved in the candidates that actually come out, have a say from within, so that you can guarantee the quality of leaders that you would have. And so some people might say, getting registered does not make me a politician. What do you think? Do you think registering a party is a good idea for young people to register in parties en masse as members? And do you think that that would deviate from their careers or whatever it is they do secularly?
Okay, I'll start by saying the Constitution guarantees everyone freedom of association. So joining a political party is your right. You're free to join anyone. If their dictates are not in line with your beliefs, you can actually cross carpet at any time you want. It's just your belief. So you're free to join political parties. I think the thing we need as youth is to be more politically educated. That when you're involved in a party, does not mean everything they do, hook, line, and sinker, you take it home. And you are actually there in that party to contribute your quota, to add more value to that party. So when we start seeing things in that light, we will continue to appreciate why we should associate with a political party. Because in Nigeria, you don't vote a candidate, you vote a party. So once you are aligned with a party, it gives you an avenue to be able to throw in your beliefs, and then as you say, we take 1,000 steps. To take 1,000 steps, you have to start with one step. So you need to grow until you get to that point where your voice will be like, in fact, felt in that party. So you take your time. Joining a political party does not automatically. I keep saying it. Everyone is a politician. We practice politics in our homes. We practice politics in church. Once there's an interest, you're already a politician because you're practicing politics in that sphere where you find yourself. So being in a political party is just giving you an avenue to express your right, because you have a right to vote, you have a right to be heard, you have a right to actually participate in nation building.
All right. Before we go into our final thought, in a society, women are excluded in a lot of things, except the home front. The home front is one of the areas of society where we actually unanimously believe that women are better. They raise children better, they are better cooks, they are better home managers. Let's assume it all works out and we get more seats for women, we get quotas for women. Are we at the home front training our young girls to be ready for these leadership positions that we're clamoring for them? Because the average Nigerian girl child, except an activist like Pelemo, doesn't want leadership. From secondary school, we have the head boy and then we have the head girl. The head girl is never made the school prefect. The head boy is always assumed to be the school prefect. So is there a way where women can maximize this advantage that has been given to them on the home front to train their daughters for leadership positions we're clamoring for? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we should strategically, a change starts by doing something, right? So from the family unit, just like you spoke about that lady, if the mindset is changed and the family starts to see that, okay, females are also capable of holding positions of power in the future, then perhaps we'll train our children differently. And male children are not, they are not the only ones that get roles of leadership. And apart from that, they are also supposed to do chores at home. They are also supposed to do things because they are basic human beings. I think when we look at people and as human beings, then we're able to start changing it. And I feel like we just need a revolution of the mind. But a revolution sounds so big, but it starts with the little things, like giving women places of power, having people with disabilities on the seats, just like how I was appointed as a youth advisor for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I'm the only person with disability there. And somehow, in all the affairs now, we're starting to think of inclusion and other things. So I feel like when we strategically get women to be in these positions and kind of put them in those positions, make the women the head, ask them to make decisions, we are slowly changing it. And it might not be something that will happen in a day. It's not something that would happen quickly. But I think it has a lot to do with representation and strategic placements of women.
All right. Julie, I think this will be the last question for you. What do you think are the inherent advantages of increasing women representation in places of elective offices?
There are a number of advantages, and I will start by saying I feel we should first see ourselves as humans before we see ourselves as a gender. What affects a man is different from what affects a woman. And so if a woman is not at the point where decisions are made that affect her life, then there's a problem. We can't have men discuss or deliberate on issues that affect men and women. So why don't we see ourselves as humans first, and understanding that as humans we actually can be born leaders, learn leaders, and actually do leadership roles irrespective of our genders, because we are deliberating on issues that affect us as humans. So a man should give policies, should actually put forth policies that affect men and women too can actually give put forth policies that affect men and women. And it will even be more advantageous for a woman to be there where decisions that affect her, she's actually a key player in it. So there are a whole lot of advantages.
Okay. So, Philemon, last thoughts to the young lady out there who's watching and like, how can I get to be as passionate to nation building as this woman is?
Well, there's no place like home, really. Nigeria will always be our home, no matter how you want to see it, no matter how you want to jackpot, no matter how much Sakwa has hold you, but you're still the one that's going to make the change at the end of the day. The things our parents weren't able to do, we have to do them for the next generation. It's not only about you. Think, like she said, she spoke about selflessness. You need to think forward. If our parents really sat down and thought about these things, I feel they would have fought harder. But they have done what they have done. And, well, if the change we want to see tomorrow is only possible today, there is no tomorrow that exists. It's only today. And the next today that comes, if you don't do something now, the next today is going to look like yesterday's today. And the countries we look forward to, everybody wants to go to Canada now, but the countries we look forward to, they put in active efforts. So I would say, go and do it. You're the only one that can do what you can do. There is a purpose and there's a reason why you are here. So give your own 2 cents, work, do what you feel inclined to do. Do not let anything stop you. You are the only one that can do what you can do.
Power is you. Thank you. Final thoughts, Barrister Juliet.
Okay, my final thoughts to Nigerians out there that irrespective of gender, actually putting your support to the right persons, the right candidates, irrespective of gender. And to my fellow women out there, if you don't support your own, you can then not complain of lack of female participation in governance. Women play a key role in nation building. They actually do vote. They actually are politically inclined. So when you actually remove your support to a woman who has the right capacity and the right intention to lead, then you're on your own. You are disadvantaging your own selves. So actually, I pray that we all love each other and actually throw in our sense to people, irrespective of gender, and then voting the right candidate. I think that's just it.
Wonderful. So you've heard it all from our guests and from our conversations. Exclusion has been existing. That's why there's a need for inclusion. But inclusion will not just be gotten by sitting down. You have to get involved. You're a young person, you're a woman, you're a person with disability, you have a voice. There's something that only you can do. As our guest said, your disability is actually a unique ability. So don't just stay on the sidelines. We all have to get involved. As young people, as women, support your own in your different sphere of influence. Do what you can to make sure that you leave Nigeria better than you met it. As we say here on The Awakening, Nigeria must work, Nigeria can work, Nigeria will work, but only if we work. Thank you.